Hey, welcome to the channel again. So today our objective here, we're on a live cutout in one of my customers' yard. Her name is Sylvia and she's off to the side filming. You'll get an opportunity to meet her later. So what we're gonna do here right now is we're gonna spray the hive with some Be Calm so they'll be distracted while we take the comb down. They'll be less intent to sting you or to attack you. But from my observation of this hive, they're not that aggressive because I went up the other day just to look at it and see how aggressive they would be if they would come at me, fly around my head. So it seems like they're not that aggressive. So just out of caution, we're gonna spray them first. Then we're gonna take the Colorado bee vac and we're gonna start getting all the bees off the comb so we can take the comb apart and store it. And then I'm gonna take it to my bee yard in Delray and we'll rubber band them in the frames and give them a new home. So let's get started. All right, here we go. Let's start cutting this comb. Let's see what we got between these layers here. The bees do a very good job of connecting this comb to the tree. They got a couple of limbs going through there for structural. So it's going to take a little time. So yeah, once we get the majority of bees off of here, there's not a lot of bees to fly around you because most of them are in the vacuum. That's why it's good to vacuum the bees off. You gotta have some sort of vacuum to take some of the bees off the comb because they just cover it and you can't see where you're cutting and what you're doing. So we have about 12 pieces of comb here. To take apart. So what I usually like to do is just take one off and just keep vacuuming the bees as we pull the combs apart because there's bees in between the crests. So I like to get the front side, then pull them apart, and then get the ones that's underneath that comb. So yeah, this is going to be a nice little project here to do. But it is what it is. I hate doing them because it's, woo, man, when you get out of that bee suit, it's so hot. But Sylvia is a very good friend of mine. We grew up together and she called me and showed me this nest, sent me a video. And, she said someone else came by to do it and they didn't have the right equipment or they needed a taller ladder. And so she called me up and I say, yeah, Sylvia, anything for Sylvia. Sylvia is my good friend from a long, long time ago. If you know about Carver Estates in Delray Beach, yeah, that's where me and Sylvia go way, way back. So it is a long task, piece by piece, step by step, but we'll get there. And I just want to let you know that my tripod was out in the sun, and so we didn't get to see the end of this video where all of the comb was down. So what I did, I put a picture up where all of the comb is off of the tree and you just see the branch clean as a whistle. So, sometimes it's like that. I don't have a videographer. So I got to put my camera on my tripod, and I wasn't even thinking that it's out in the sun. And you know how those phones go. Once they get hot, they overheat and then they shut down. So I didn't realize the video feed was cut off. But I do my best for my subscribers. I know y'all like to see this stuff, and I put it up for you to see what goes on and how it's done. And, if you have any questions, as I always say, share a comment, like, subscribe. It's all right to watch the videos, but hey, subscribe to the channel. Give me a like. You know what that does is YouTube put this video in front of a lot of other beekeepers. And my market is the new beekeepers. This is a way to get free bees also. A nucleus probably is going to go up over $200 pretty soon. So every nucleus and every package, the price is going up. So here's a way to get free bees. My Colorado vat cost me like $376. So if you just buy one, that's just like buying a package and a nucleus. And you'll be able to get free bees all the time. People will call you for swarms. They'll call you to do cutouts and move beehives, which I don't like to do. I just like to get the swarms. Or you can sign up with this swarm company. It's called BeSwarmed.org. And if you sign up as a beekeeper, when people report swarms, they'll call you and you can go out and pick them up for free. There's no charge. If you want to be on the executive list, they charge you $2 for membership. But what is $2 for free bees? If you can't pay $2 for free bees, that means you're cheap. So I signed up with them and I get a lot of stuff, and sometimes I just turn it down because I don't have the property to just keep collecting swarms. So right now I'm at 3 on this property. When I collect this one, I got 3 on my property. And I'm actually working with a nursery. They're going to let me put some on their property. I might just put like another 3. I don't want to go past 10 because I still have a full-time job. And, taking care of bees, hey, there's work involved. So maybe when I retire. This is all fun stuff, though. These bees weren't aggressive at all. I was up there and none was buzzing me. Usually when they get upset, they buzz you. You'll hear them by your ear. Making that sound means that you're annoying them. But nothing like that. They were just flying around doing their things. But what surprised me is like the amount of nectar that was in this hive. For the size of this hive, I thought I would have at least seen some honey. There was a few drops of honey, mostly nectar was in here. So yeah, and it wasn't even that much. I'm going to have to end up feeding these bees. because they had hardly any resources in here. They did have some pollen, a little bit of bee bread, a handful, but I noticed there was a lot of queen cells on the edges of the comb. So just from experience, it looked like they were trying to replace the queen or the queen failed. But there wasn't a lot of open brood. I got a few, let's see, maybe 4 combs of cat brood and just a little bit of open brood, and I didn't see any eggs. So I'm not sure if there was a queen on here. But there's a ton of bees, so they can keep a colony going if you give them a new queen. So we'll figure that out once we get them in the bee yard. Give them a chance to attach that comb back to the frame and get the rubber bands out of there. And then we'll start checking for eggs. If I don't see any eggs, then we'll get them a new queen. But anyway, that's life as a beekeeper. You know, it's amazing how you vacuum these bees. You get them all off the edge, and then it just seems like more appear. When you clean off the edge, they come from in between the comb. And they did a very good job at attaching this comb to the tree. So I cut it away as best as I can. This is very gentle stuff here. You got to be gentle with it. See that brood there? There is some brood on there, some cat brood. And they only had like 4 frames on there. And they had 13 pieces of comb, and most of it was empty. So that's why I say I'm not sure if there was a queen. There was a queen there maybe 8 days ago or more, because I did have cat brood, but I didn't see any. Yeah, there was some open larvae, but I didn't see any eggs. No eggs at all on that hive. So not sure if they had a queen. I'll tell you one thing, my arms were getting tired. I was like hoping for this to be over pretty soon. And I timed it. It took me 2.5 hours to get this beehive, vacuumed all the bees and get all the comb into the containers. And then I went over to the Delray bee yard, and then it took me another, yeah, I want to say about an hour, not too bad, just to get all of the comb out, get it onto the frames, put the rubber bands on it. And I got most of it in, and then right at the end, the robber bees showed up. I noticed a frenzy started going on. I said, "Oh, here we go." Here's the robber bee. So I had to be brushing them away. I put the lid on top of the box, and they were, boy, they were out there looking to get that nectar that was hanging around. So yeah, I'm gonna have to feed them. It's like you adopted a stepchild. Because normally when you get bees, they have some sort of resources. But this is November here in South Florida, so most of the resources are scarce now. And robin is very active, even in my bee yard. The other day I was checking my hive and I just happened to put a frame that was out on the frame holder, and it had some nectar on it. And man, I had to hurry up and close the hive up. These robber bees just showed up and they were all over that frame. And I was like, oh no, my bee's going to be mad at me now because I'm getting them robbed. So I had to hurry up and end the inspection and close it up. All right, we're back here. I have to apologize to you. My camera was out in the sun and it turned off, so you didn't get to see the rest of the cutout. But anyway, it went well. I just rubber band all of the comb that I took out. And look at this. This is all robber bees here. That's why they say you got to do this quick, because when they smell that honey, they come out and start robbing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave all of these containers so they can clean up all the honey on it. If you look here, they're robbing this out. There's honey in the bottom right there. So I'll let them get all of that. And then the rest of the comb that I didn't use is right here. There was no brood in it. There's some little bit of resources, but I had to cut and make it fit in the frame. And actually the customer said she wanted some of the wax because she does candles and sells cosmetics that use wax. So I'm going to let them finish robbing out all of this and clean it up, and then I'll grab this tomorrow. So let's go down to what I got set up down here. This is my Delray bee yard. So now I have 3 hives over here, and this is the one we just set up right here. This is the vacuum that was hooked up, that was vacuuming all the bees. So all the bees are in here. And what I do is I pull this plate out and it opens up the door down here, and the bees will go down into the box. So this will stay on for like a day or two, and then I'll come back and check it, put the top on it. Then I'll let it stay for like a week or so, come back and then start checking for eggs to see if we got the queen in there. If not, that's no big deal. We got to replace her anyway. So we'll just get a new queen if the queen is not in there, but we got enough bees to start a colony. So that's beautiful. And these are the other 2 over here. So they just hanging out. I guess these were just orientation. And over here, they're bringing in stuff. So these 2 are doing well. And we got this one over here that I just set up. And then down there is the robin station. So I try to do it as far away from the hives as I can, because you don't want your hives to get marked. What'll happen is when they finish robbing over here, they'll start by your hive. If I would have done this over by my hive, when they're finished and they see my hives over there, then they might start attacking those and trying to rob them. So that's why it's good to just, do it as far as you can away from your hives. So that's it for here. And once they get going, we'll do a future video about that. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.